YouTubers, Little Yellow Yarn here with another awesome craft to show you guys. And again, we're going to be learning together, and today we're going to learn about hand knitting. So I've presented you guys with some loops and thread yarn, and this guy is actually a extra jumbo size. It's a size 7 jumbo. I found this beauty at Michael's. Right now it's on sale for about $17 and change here in my area, and really awesome. It is a combination of acrylic, wool, and polyester. I'm just going to double check our label here and get a little yarn ball out of the way. Yes, so we have 60% polyester, 20% acrylic, and 20% wool. So anybody who's looking to have some wool in their life and you don't want to pay a fortune, I recommend this yarn. Yes, it looks really tight. What I am going to end up doing, and I'll show you guys here when I come back, is I'm going to take the yarn out of its original spool, so to speak, and I'm going to, geez, the dog's thirsty tonight. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to just fluff it up. So by fluffing it up, I'm just going to run my hands through it. So I'll see you guys shortly. Alright, so we're back. Here's a little yarn ball. Little yellow yarn ball. And I'm just going to open this guy up. This is the first time I have ever used this giant jumbo yarn from Michael's. I had a special order where I had to get this awesome merino wool from the Ukraine. Oh my gosh, it was gorgeous. And yeah, it was pricey, but definitely worth it. And you know what? I should have gotten my scissors. We're going to have to do this the hard way, aren't we? Rip it open. I always have handy dandy scissors on hand. Ones that you don't mind running through paper. So here's your giant label. And again, it is loops and thread yarn free spirit. And you get 1,000 grams. Size 7 jumbo. Here we go. That's one side. It has 2 of them. So we'll see what we can do with this other side. They're like, geez, Deb, why don't you have your scissors? I know, I thought it would be easier. You know how some labels are like super easy to undo? These guys, not so bad, but not the easiest. So I just wanted to show you. This is huge, really huge. You can see how tightly it's spun here. Just run your hands through it. And kind of twist while you're running it through your hands. You can see it starts to relax, right? Since it has that wool in it, has some natural fiber, you're going to see some pilling happen. That's fine. That's why you're running your hands through it. Just take that stuff, put it off to the side if you want to use it for a filler for an amigurumi or a toy. That'll be cool. Say what you have, right? Because this stuff, it's not cheap. I believe it was, what, 50% off? Ray was so sweet to go and get it for me, so it was about, like I said, 17 bucks. So I just wanted to show you guys a quick snippet of what I'm going to do to take this apart. And you can see any tiny little particles will get stuck to it because it is wool, so just run your hands through it. Literally, it'll go from a tightly spun yarn to a very relaxed one. And yes, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna be here forever. Trust me, it's worth the time spent. You want to relax your wool. Despite that it has, you know, only 20%, you don't want it to stay tight, especially since we're going to be doing hand knitting. You're going to want something a little thicker, and I will show you why you don't want anything thin, because I do have a thinner yarn that I purchased a while back thinking, hey, it's going to be good for hand knitting, and it wasn't. So I'm going to go ahead and undo this entire ball and roll it back up with its relaxed form. So I will see you guys soon. And we're back. You can see this giant pile is sitting here waiting to be wound up. Just want to show you guys how much it relaxes compared to what we saw earlier. Pretty cool. So guess what? Time to wind up the ball, or you can just leave it like this. It's up to you, but I will caution you, if you're going to wind up your ball, you're going to want to do it super loose, alright? So me, I said I was going to wind it up, but now that I realize I just don't want to take the time and, you know, little yarn ball is probably gonna get anxious about that. So let's go ahead and set it to the side and let's get working. What I have here is, let's see here, gotta move my stuff around. I have an 18 by 18 inch Pillowform. I just bought this off of Walmart's website. It's squishy. It is 100% polyester material. And as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and adjust my camera. I'll be right back. Okay, so you can choose any size pillow you'd like. 18 by 18 is just what I chose. And so we're gonna get started. This is hand knitting portion. You don't need any tools except a good pair of scissors to cut your yarn with, okay? So if you guys know anything about crochet or knitting, you understand what the slip stitch is. If you don't know anything about crochet or knitting, I'm going to show you exactly how to do a slip knot. So this is how you do a slip knot. You're going to want to leave a little bit of a tail. Use your least dominant hand, and you're going to wrap the yarn, and I'm going to show you that there is that tail left about, I don't know, 5-6 inches. You're going to wrap it around your least dominant hand, okay? And with your dominant hand, wrap it once, and then while your palm is facing you, you're going to make an X, okay? So you can see you've made an X with your yarn. In the back part of your hand, you're going to stick that piece of yarn that you're holding on to underneath the piece of yarn that is touching your hand. And you're going to pull that piece of yarn through, holding on to that 6-inch tail that I told you to leave, and holding on to the extra piece of yarn that is still connected to your whole pile off to the side, or to your ball. And just keep pulling. You're going to see the knot starting to form. See that? There is your slip knot. And a slip knot is adjustable, so you can see that, the length of the tail has grown significantly because we kept pulling and pulling and pulling up. So that is fine because we're going to want to weave that in later. No problem. So you want to make this part of your slip knot, I keep wanting to say slip stitch, I'm thinking crochet. You're going to want to make it only as wide as your hand, or only as wide as you want that stitch to be across, or I should say vertically on your pillow. So of course, the bigger the hole, the looser your stitches are going to be. The tighter the hole or smaller the hole, the more tighter your stitches will be. Just remember to always keep that tension. Yes, it's going to take practice. So like I always say in my videos, practice it at least 3 times before you decide to, throw a big old fit and throw it against the wall. Hey, that's cool. But give yourself a chance to learn, right? There's always a learning curve if you're not familiar with the craft, and that's fine. I mean, that's why we do crafts. That way we learn something new, and there's nothing wrong in messing up. So I'm just going to tighten mine a little bit more. I'm going to stick my hand in that loop and keep it there. Alright, forget about the tail. Throw him off to the side. What you're worried about is the extra yarn that's connected to the rest of your mound. So keep your hand in that loop. Stick your thumb in through there so you kind of have like a little duck beak in there. You're ready to grab stuff, kind of like Pac-Man. So you're going to grab that piece of yarn from the mound, and you're just going to hold that knot that you created, that slip knot, with your least dominant hand, and with your dominant hand, pull that yarn through. And you've made your first stitch. So you now have 2 stitches, okay? I'm going to want to make as many stitches as it's going to take across the width of my pillow, and kind of leave it hanging off a little bit because we're going to sew it onto here afterwards. So I'm going to repeat. I'm going to stick my hand through that loop I just created, or that stitch, make my little beak, grab that yarn that's still connected to the mound, with my least dominant hand, still hold on to the knot that I created initially, and pull that yarn through. You've now created 1, 2, 3 stitches, okay? And you simply repeat across. I'm going to show you guys one more time. trying to keep these stitches, I know it's white on white here, let me go ahead and put the pillow off to the side so that way we have some contrast. Try to keep these stitches as even as possible. Alright, so I'm going to repeat. Stick my hand, my dominant hand, into that loop I just created and kind of tighten it. If it's too loose, you can just pull that yarn back through. Stick my hand through, make my little beak, ready to grab that yarn. With my least dominant hand, hold on to that knot that I initially created, that slip knot. And you can actually move your hand up closer so that way you have better grip. Just hold on to it, and with your dominant hand, pull that yarn through. Alright, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches made. Okay, and you can see that some of them are not even. Just do your best to judge how even they are. Trust me, you're going to do a great job. If you're a perfectionist like I am, it might bother you at first, but in the end you'll see that this isn't such a big deal. It's once we start working our rows going vertically, that's going to make a big difference. So just keep it loose. I'm going to tell you, just keep it loose, because if you do it too tight, you're going to struggle to get your little hand in there, and it's just going to be more frustrating for you. So keep it loose, try to keep it even, and just continue going. Alright, so here we go again. Alright, and I'm not counting right now. You can count in case you have other pillows that you want to create that are the same size. I would suggest counting and writing down your stitches, right? Otherwise, we can just eyeball it if you're just doing one pillow. Okay, so at this point I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches that I've created, plus this extra guy if I'm going to add to him. So I'm going to add one more to make 8. And I'm just going to pull that a little tighter. Alright, so I now have 8 stitches. I'm going to bring my pillow in and I'm going to see if it measures up to what I need. Okay. Okay. So I want to gently lie this across my pillow. Again, it's an 18 by 18 inch. And you can see at this point on the right, it hangs over a bit. I'm not counting this loose guy as a stitch right now, because he's not connected with another loop of yarn yet. So it kind of hangs off the edge. Here is the edge of my pillow where that seam is. And I have the same thing going on the left side. I have that slip knot kind of hanging over the seam, which is perfect. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches for my tension. So at this point, I am going to start making more loops like this one come up vertically. So this counts as one loop for the next row. I'm going to move over to the left one, and where this stitch makes a hump, I'm going to stick my hand through there gently, make my beak, and I'm going to grab my yarn from the back to the front. So here's my yarn, grab it, push down with my least dominant hand just to give me support, and I'm going to pull that yarn approximately as high as the stitch I left sticking up beforehand. Okay, and we're just going to repeat that straight across. So again, I'm going to go to the left one. You see this hump? That is a stitch right there. I'm going to stick my hand into that stitch and pull my yarn from the back to the front. And again, I want to keep it the same height approximately as the one I did before. And you're just going to keep repeating that all the way down till you reach your final stitch. Alright, so we're at the final stitch, and just double check and count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 loops. Perfect, because I started initially with 8 stitches. Alright, so at this point, we're just going to repeat the process. We've got loops sticking up. I'm going to stick my hand into that loop, and the yarn's in the back. Make my beak, grab the yarn from the back, pull it up through the front. Now you see another loop's made. We want to keep it approximately the same height as the ones we made before. Okay? Now all the while you're doing this, keep the yarn, whatever direction you're pulling it in, keep it off to that side. So since I'm going from left to right, I want to keep my yarn going in the direction of left to right. So that way this loop doesn't get twisted. We want to keep him flat. Okay. And I will say, beware anything with wool. It likes to snag onto stuff. It likes to get stuck to stuff. Just be careful with it. Even if it's just a little bit of wool in there, it does have that nice ability to want to go elsewhere and get stuck to something. Alright, so we've made essentially our 3rd row. And you can see it is starting to climb vertically up and down, right? Or from bottom to top. And then we just repeat. You can always double check your stitch count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Alright, so go in from that stitch on the far right. Put your hand in there, make your beak, ready to grab. Push your yarn from the back to the front and pull up and make that loop approximately the same height as your other ones. And we literally just keep repeating this up until the end, and I am going to show you guys how to fasten off at the end. It's really nothing too crazy. It's going to look similar to what you did at the bottom, but depending which direction you go, it's going to look slightly different, and I'll show you what I mean when I get there. And you're going to want to do this until it is the height that you needed for your particular pillow. So this guy is going to look like a pillow cover. You could actually make it into a pillowcase if you want, if you're into sewing, into crochet, anything like that. And just sew your panels together, and you can add either a zipper or add some buttons. Totally up to you. Or, like what I'm going to do in this case, you simply just sew this to the face of the pillow. And that is what my special order consisted of, is creating this and sewing it to the face of your pillow. And I know a lot of you are like, oh my gosh, but I don't know how to sew. Trust me, you guys are going to learn. I'm going to teach you guys how to do a nice, simple sewing stitch, and it's not going to be so bad. There's no perfection whenever you go to sew this on your pillowcase, so no worries. Like I said, we're all learning together, and arts and crafts is wonderful because it lets you express yourself, so nothing has to be the same as others, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. If you're striving for yeah, I got tongue-tied. If you're striving for perfection, that's awesome too. Just keep practicing. That's all. So you can see my edge is starting to develop here. It looks kind of funky right now because it's not attached to anything. But as we continue, it'll start to straighten out. All right. So I'm just going across here real quick. Excuse me, you're probably wondering, oh my gosh, like why is hers like so perfect? And trust me, it took me a lot of doing these stitches, undoing them, and repeating again. So basically frogging the whole thing. And yeah, I've just gotten used to what my tension is like with my little hand beak, so to speak, and the yarn. So like I said, just keep practicing. You will get used to it. Usually with my tension, it takes about 13 rows to finish an 18 by 18 inch pillow form. Yours will be different, and that's okay. So you can see as I'm going along, I'm trying to straighten everything out, just making sure it's nice and flat, nothing's twisted. You see it try to twist on me there. And I just keep on going. Alright, so I'm just going to stretch this out. You can see my tension is rather loose on the edges. It's kind of gappy. That's okay. That's completely okay. And I'm just going to measure it up to my pillow, stretch it out a bit, see how much more I have to go. Again, make sure your stitches, your loops up top are flat. I probably have about 4 more rows to go. Okay, you can see we have these really beautiful vertical stitches. It looks exactly like a knitted stitch. Super cool. And all you did was use your hands and some yarn. I love it. Now go around and you're going to pull on your stitches gently. You want to line up corners with corners, right? Okay. Now I want you guys to see the edge here. You can see there's pillow, edge, and my loops are just hanging over, those empty loops. That's exactly where I want it to be. It literally, let's see if I can show you guys without the camera going nuts on me. It literally lines up there and the loops hang over that edge. Perfect. So we're going to cinch it off. Now, I stopped over here on the left side, okay? What I want to do is I'm going to come in, this is the far left, here's my yarn. With my hand, I'm going to grab the second stitch immediately to the right of that corner stitch on the left. So I'm going to stick my hand in the second stitch from front to back, make my beak, and that left corner stitch, I'm also going to put it over my hand. Now watch, pay attention to how that stitch lays, that's flat. So you're going to go and keep it flat, you're not going to twist it. You're only going to turn it. So make sure you just turn it. And now you have those two loops on your hand. Stick your little hand out, grab the yarn, and you're going to pull it through two loops at a time. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. Those are the two loops that you just put on there. This is your new loop. Go immediately to the right of that, and again, you're not going to twist it. You're going to lay it flat and simply turn it. Stick your hand in there, one loop. Stick your hand in two loops, and you're going to bring your yarn and grab it with your hand. All right. You repeat the process. This is a loop you just created. Go immediately to the right. Don't twist, lay it flat and simply turn. Stick your hand in there, grab both loops and put them over your hand. You're going to grab the yarn and pull it through. Okay, repeat this all the way down until you're done. I'm going to show you what you do at the end. Alright, we've reached the end. We have our two loops over our hand. Grab that yarn, pull it through. Alright, this is your last loop. There is nothing left to the right of it. Or in your case, if you're going from right to left, nothing left on the left. So again, stick your hand through that loop. You're going to grab the yarn and you're just going to pull it, and you're basically making a knot to fasten off. And you're going to snip that part right there. Leave a nice 6-inch tail about, and you're going to pull this loop through and it'll make a nice knot at this point. Now before I go and do that, I want to show you guys what you just created up top. I'm just going to stretch it out. Excuse me. You can see those nice stitches that you made on top. Pretty cool. And you literally just line it up on your pillow. Now you have the edges up top, or that could be the new bottom side edges. There's where the tag is. And yes, this will get pulled down eventually with the stitching. This tail is going to be woven into the back. I'll show you guys how to do that. And there's the other edge. Alright, so I got my awesome Fisker scissors. I'm going to cut that approximate 6-inch tail so that way I can finish off my work here. Uh-oh. Did I do something? Oh, look at that. It's good I checked. I have this limited workspace right here, so look, I'm missing a loop. So what I'm going to do is hold on to that, kind of pull it out, and I am going to pull the tail out so I get my loop that I had created prior to fasten it off. So grab that loop, grab my final loop. This is my final loop. This is my corner loop. And I'm going to grab my tail, pull it through. I have made a final loop, absolutely final loop. And then grab my tail again and pull it through that loop and pull tight. You're going to want to make a knot. See that knot made there? There we go. So now we have an official corner right there. And again, this is going to be woven in the back. So I'm going to turn my work around. Let me move my Pillowform out of the way. My extra yarn. Guys, whenever you're doing this, make sure you have ample space. Like I said, I have limited space, and it can kind of get a little frustrating, but hey, we gotta do what we gotta do, right? Take your tail, and you see all these beautiful horizontal stitches on the back. That's what you're going to see on the back. You could actually use this as a front if you want to, totally up to you. But me, I'm going to use it for the back. So let's move my new creation upwards so you guys can see. Take the tail and you're going to run it under loops. See how that just went nice and flat because I put it under that initial loop there. And just keep going at that pattern. This is a horizontal stitch, and I'm going under, and then I'm going to bring it up and go from the bottom up. So initially I went top to bottom, then I go bottom to top. I just keep weaving it in like that. You can weave it in however you'd like, in any direction I should say, but for me this works. So I'm going kind of like a zigzag form. I just want to keep doing this until my tail is completely hidden on the back. You can see right here. That's where it's hidden. Give it a good tug. And that's all there is to it. You have hidden your tail. You're going to repeat it for the initial tail you made when we first started. Now I want to show you something. See, mine's not perfect either. I've got some, I don't want to say sloppy, but it's looser over here. The tension is looser off on the left side, which would normally be the right side if I flipped it over, compared to where I began. That's okay. That's completely fine. So I'm going to take my tail. This is where I had done my slip knot, and I'm just going to go under and start weaving it in. So give it a nice little tug to make a corner. And then I'm going to go from bottom to top and do the same thing I did on that other one. Just zigzag through. That's all you do. Ooh, somebody has messages. It happens. Alright, we're not perfect, guys. This is not meant to be a perfect video whatsoever. No way. Alright, so there we go. We've got it, and this is the back part. Again, when you hit the end of the tail, give it a nice little tug. And you'll be able to get everything nice and firm there. Alright guys, so now it's time to sew this bad boy on to our Pillowform. Okay, so you want to match your thread with whatever yarn color you're using as close as possible, right? You definitely don't want to put black on white, or some dark color with the light color, or light color with the dark color. You know what I mean. So I'm just using Coats & Clark Dual Duty Plus. This is what I have on hand. It is a white color and a nice sewing needle. Okay, so if you guys have never sewn before, I'm going to show you how to thread your needle without a threader. This is thicker thread. I don't know if you guys can tell. Usually thread is really thin. I like this thicker one just because I know it's going to stay put. And you just keep taking, I don't know, about 2 or 3 feet off of there, just paying attention that it doesn't, look at that, it's popping off, that it doesn't end up making a knot on itself. So just snip it, chop it as I say, grab your needle, have to roll that off the table, and there's your needle's eye, the eye of the needle. Okay, you can stick this guy in the eye of the needle, sure, that'll work, but sometimes they get fiddly, your yarn gets mad, see, and doesn't want to go in. So my suggestion is I said yarn, your thread. Get your thread and fold it in on itself. Okay, you literally just fold it on top of itself, and you're going to pinch it, right? You're going to make a little loop. Let's see if my camera focuses here. You guys just stick it right on in the eye of the needle. If it gives you problems, you could always, I know it sounds gross, but you could stick that thread in your mouth to kind of soften it up and make it do what you want to do. Now, you see it's not wanting to go in. It's kind of thick. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try just shoving it in with the point. And that worked. They do sell threaders at the craft stores, and those are like a dreamboat because they literally will grab your thread and help you pull it through the eye of the needle. So either way, if you want to go out and buy one, if you don't, you don't have to. Alright, so after we've threaded it through, we're going to match up both of the ends of the thread. Alright, and just run our hands along our thread line. Okay, kind of throw our needle off to the side. We're going to make that essential knot. So, get your index finger of your least dominant hand, grab that thread, and you're going to wrap it around gently. Don't suffocate your finger. No sausage fingers here. And you're going to wrap it around, make an X. Okay? And then on the back, it's kind of like doing your slip knot. On the back, you're going to put it underneath that thread that was wrapped around your finger. Put it through the hole and keep twisting. You're going to keep twisting, and that thread's going to give you resistance. That's what you want. Twist, 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 twist. You see it going in on itself? And whenever that happens with your fingers, you're going to pinch the very bottom of the thread that is resisting, and you're going to pull it down. You might have to use your nails to do this if it's a thicker thread. You can see my knot stayed tiny. So if it stays tiny, do it again. So again, wrap it around your finger, make your X. Behind your finger, where your nail is, stick that thread through, or just basically stick it in the hole, right? And you're going to want to twist, 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 twist it in that loop. You're going to grab it and pull it on down. And finally, I made that big knot that I'm looking for. Alright. So, our needle and thread are good to go. Now it is time to stitch our beautiful work onto our pillow form. Okay. I always start in the corner. As for the tag, I just tuck it in. Okay, and I sew it in there. You can snip it. It's up to you. Alright. So for those of you who don't sew, just everything will be okay. Deep breath. You're going to want to tuck these corners in just so that way you get almost a rounded off section there. Of course, it's going to be more like a triangle put down on itself. That's fine. We want to round it off. Grab the corner of your work and you want it to kind of hang over. Now, get your needle. You're going to come from the inside of your work, right? The part that's going to be covered on through the outside.